Hello and welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. My name is Harry McBain, and this week I'm joined by two paramedics who've both worked pitch side in their careers. Sarah and Tano, thank you for joining me. How are you both doing?
I'm well,
good.
thanks.
All good. Can't complain.
Now, you're both paramedics and have worked or work at football games. Sarah, let's start with you. What made you want to become a paramedic?
I've always kind of liked the idea of caring for people, helping people at what they think is their hard times in life. So here I am.
Tano, what about you?
I don't even know really. When I was younger, I wanted to do something involved with science and stuff like that. But then that developed into wanting to do something which involves caring for people. But I wanted to do something that involves caring for different people, so I see different faces every day. And I went to a careers day when I was probably about 18, and there was a fire truck and there was an ambulance car, and I spoke to both sets of people, and then speak to the paramedic. I thought, yeah, this is actually something I can get down with that. So it came from there really.
And how did you feel when you worked at your first ever football match?
Is that for me?
Yeah, let's start with you.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience, because then obviously watching football every week since I was a young boy, to actually be there in the capacity of being a paramedic was just felt different, because then it's like, this is mental, two Premier League teams going up against each other, but I'm here just in case something actually happens, as opposed to being there just for the game. You see what I mean? So you definitely feel a sense of like, wow, this is amazing when you're on the other side of it, because you're not in the stands, you're literally pitch side. So it definitely had this really surreal feeling to it.
What about you, Sarah?
Well, I was petrified because I knew nothing about football. I didn't follow any football teams, and all I was told is that you're there for the players if they become unwell. So yeah, and I was petrified because the cameras are on you all the time. So you had to make sure that you've done everything right when needed.
And so let's just go through each of these. Tano, which clubs have you worked at or with?
So I've only done I've done West Ham, so when they've moved into the London Stadium, Watford, so I've been to Vicarage Lane, and I've done a few Premier Youth games, but it's never been at any of the actual football grounds. It's been at the training complexes. So I've done a couple of training complexes across the UK. And
what clubs have you worked at, Sarah?
I've done West Ham when they was at their old ground, Tottenham, and then a few times at Stevenage Football Club.
And what was it like, obviously, when you were at the bigger games like Tottenham? What was it like having that noisy crowd behind you whilst, you're either trying to do your work or just focusing on what's happening?
I think we're pretty good at just blocking out noises behind. For me, I didn't really notice the noise in the background. You're so focused on what you need to be looking at and make sure that you don't miss anything. There's that moment that you're going to turn your head, look away, and something's going to happen, and then you're not there to witness it.
Is that the same for you, Tanner?
I'd definitely agree with that. But then I think it then gets a bit different. I think the London Stadium is a bit of a weird one, really, because it's so big. So the first time I got called onto that pitch, the player was pretty much near the centre circle. So to be right in the middle of it, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't anything particularly nasty, but still, you got to spend time on the pitch dealing with what's going on before you then take them off. You then realise that even just like 60,000 people talking amongst themselves, they think, right, this is loud, absolutely loud. And then obviously, because it was a home player, when we're then taking him off, like the round of applause that you would get for being injured, especially when you're home. Again, I was thinking, this is crazy how loud it is. And I think it does put into perspective, like 60,000 people, I think you take it for granted when you're watching it on the TV, or sometimes when you're there in the stand, you don't really realize how big of a crowd that actually is. But I think when you're walking off, especially from, as I say, like the center circle, to then have to come off, that's when you sort of do realize, oh my God, there is loads of people in here. It's crazy.
And Sarah, if you've been at Tottenham, I wonder whether you've done any like matches against Arsenal. Obviously, derby matches are quite big. Do you get like either briefed or anything that, you know, more injuries might happen because it's a derby or a rival game?
No, I've never experienced that.
Tano, do you have any games that, you know, quite big games that you've had any like extra information that, you know, might need to look out for?
Nah, not really, you know. Because I've been to a couple of London derbies. So I'm sure I've been there when Chelsea have been, when Arsenal have been, but there's never really been any extra conversation with regards to, okay, they're playing this team now. There may be a bit more sort of crunching tackles, this, that, and the other. And maybe that's just because, you know, most of those players, they actually want to be playing in those games. So they're going to want to, you know, they're going to want to stay on their feet. They're going to want to see out the full 90 minutes. But yeah, in briefings and things like that, I can't remember ever having that. But it's something to think about, to be honest.
And now players are infamous nowadays for diving in this era of football. But we've also seen obviously some quite serious injuries throughout recent times. What are like the worst types of injuries that you've had to deal with, Sarah?
For me, it's just been fractures, normally ankles or dislocated shoulders, really. But as a paramedic, we're not always first on the pitch. They like to send a physio on, a doctor on, and then we're last resort to then get this patient off the pitch. But just fractures for me.
And Tanya, do you think that when you see a player go down, are you just looking out for, oh, do you think I might be needed on this one at all, or is it just wait and see what happens?
It is a thing. You're always thinking once they go down, it's am I going to be needed on this one? But sometimes you got to think, right, how have they gone down? What's the magnitude that they've gone down on? Have they gone down on an off the ball incident? If they have, then chances are they're probably coming off the pitch. Has it been off the back of a tackle? How long's the match? How long into the match are we? Because once you get sort of in that 80-minute category, especially if they haven't been subbed off, that's when legs start to get a bit tired. That's when tackles start to get a bit late. But it's more so we get worried about how a player tends to go down. And sometimes you obviously have it where a player's gone down and the other players nearby are waving for you to come running on and stuff like that. So for me, when I'm watching and I see a tackle go in, I think to myself, well, how have they gone down and how hard was that tackle really? But yeah, you gotta be watching everything that happens all the time.
And Tony, you said you've worked at West Ham and Watford games, and you told us before the recording when we were messaging you that you're a Liverpool fan and that you were at the game when you lost 3-0. Tell us, what was it like seeing your side losing that unbeaten streak?
I think first of all, the cherry on top of that, yeah, was the fact that Sarah must have seen me and she messaged me. She sent a photo of me, like whilst I was, because a player went down. I think it was a home player. Can't remember who it was, and I think this match was televised on Sky Sports. So we've come on, we've done what we needed to do, and we're carrying this player off. And then I think at that point, Liverpool were probably 1-0 down already. So half time comes, and then I see this message from Sarah, and it's literally me on the TV helping carry this player off. And then I was like, what? So not only have I been seen on Sky Sports, the team that I love and loved for years have lost their unbeaten streak to, like, let's be honest, at the time, no one thought Liverpool were going to lose to Watford of all the teams in the Premier League. So I was like, this is crazy. And that's another thing. You got to have that air of professionalism about you. Because yes, of course, 99% of the games I don't really care about because then I'm there as a neutral. But then to have Liverpool come down, I think, yes, okay, I get to watch a lot of these players that I love, and to watch them get absolutely battered was just crazy. After the game, I was spitting feathers. Like, I was mad, absolutely mad.
And obviously they had the home crowd will have been cheering very loudly. Was that quite annoying for you? Just so you said trying to focus normally on the game, but having that amount of noise coming from behind you, all about the fact that your side are losing. Is it a bit annoying?
It is, but again, it's one of those things that the level of professionalism that we have, I think it can be quite easy to block out. And like Vicarage Road, for example, everything's quite compact, everything's quite tight. If you're in the front row as a spectator, you're quite near the pitch. So because we're then obviously one row closer, we're literally like snug in with all these fans basically. But yeah, I mean, with all due respect, the atmosphere was great. At least Watford, at least they had a good day out, and it was a really good morale booster for them. Too bad they still got relegated, but still, it is what it is, isn't it?
Now, as I said earlier, you're both standard paramedics as well. Sarah, how tough has this time been for you guys, especially with all the the stuff that's going around at the moment?
It was really tough in March, and then we thought it was getting better, and then now it's gone back to being really bad again, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We're there to do our job. We're there for the day, regardless what we get sent to during our shift, our 12-hour shift. We go there, we help, then we come home.
Mm-hmm. And then I've just got a small final question here for you, Tano. As we mentioned there, you're a Liverpool fan. How did it feel for you last season, finally winning the title after 30 years of just staying away from it as close as possible?
Do you know what? It was stressful right up until that final game, because we all know how Liverpool can be with regards to letting leads slip. I thought we played brilliantly throughout the entire season, and we definitely deserved to win the league. And then lockdown happens, and then everything comes to a standstill, and you think, this is just typical of Liverpool, that we are racing ahead with it, and then the season's going to end up being null and void because of this really, really serious pandemic. There's bigger things than football, of course. And if that was going to be the case, that Liverpool didn't win the league because of it, so be it. But when they got over the line, I thought, yes, this is absolutely amazing. I don't mind if we end up not winning the league ever again. I just wanted to be alive at the time of them winning. Obviously, it's been 30 years, and I'm 30 myself. So sometimes I felt like I was almost a bad omen. Like the same year that I was born is the last time that Liverpool managed to actually win the league. So it is nice to witness it. Yeah, definitely, it was amazing.
Thank you. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for coming on, guys, and giving us the insight into another side of what happens at football matches. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to go and like, share, and subscribe. This was The Final Whistle.